Hello and welcome. This is Marjorie Saulson welcoming you to today's Coffee and Coaching Club. 30 minutes of actionable insights to build your business communication confidence, your communication confidence in general. And today's subject is creating copy that converts. And allow me to introduce my wonderful program manager, Margaret, who is going to explain to you how you can ask questions during this webinar.
Hello, thanks, Marjorie. So at the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you hover down at the bottom, you will see a Q&A icon there. And if you click that, it will open the Q&A question and answer box. And if you have questions, just go ahead and type them into that box, and we will get these questions answered, hopefully during the session today. Welcome, everyone. Glad you're here.
Alrighty, now I'm inviting you to get out paper and pen because I'm sharing with you today six, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, six characteristics of copy that converts. And you're not going to remember all of them. I just, unless you have one of those wonderful memories that remembers everything, I would suggest you get out paper and pen and start making notes. Because there you are, and you're thinking about creating some copy. Copy that will give you a talk that won't result in an audience that looks like this. Oh my gosh, what do you do? So here's the first characteristic of copy that converts. It immediately grabs the attention of your ideal audience. Now, basically, I'm talking today about giving a talk or a presentation, but a lot of the information I'm sharing also refers to other types of communication. And this actually refers to either written or spoken copy, because have you ever picked up an article or a book and read the first paragraph or two and then to put it away? So you want something that immediately grabs the attention of your ideal audience. And I like actually to start with a quote or a question or a joke. And if you go to my website and check out the keynote address that I gave at the gala, the annual gala of the International Association of Top Professionals, you will see the quote that I started out with. And I got a good laugh, by the way, and got everybody's attention. So this is the kind of attention you want right away, as soon as you start out. People are happy to hear you, see you, or in any case, read whatever you have to write and say. So let's go on to characteristic number 2. And this is really important. It uses the specific language of the people you want to reach. When they hear or read it, they are immediately thinking, ooh, she or he gets me. For example, part of my specific language is talk about the anxiety and fear that people feel when they have to get up and give a presentation. Public speaking, giving speeches as it were, is number one on the list of fears. And for some people that applies to phone calls and networking and anytime they speak to people. So a lot of my language talks about helping people overcome those fears so that they can communicate with confidence. So that's what you want to do. You want to speak the language of your people. And characteristic number 3 of copy that converts, which kind of relates to number 2 as well, it speaks to their pain. What are they worried about? What keeps them up at night? If you're in business and you're helping people with being successful in business, are they worried about their profit and loss statements for the month? Are they worried about wasting money? Are they worried about not making money? This is language that relates to the pain of your ideal audience, if that's who is in your audience. So what's number 4? By the way, going back to number 3 and 2, how do you find those? You do some market research, and I'll talk a little bit about that when I get to kind of doing the overview. Characteristic number 4 is it promises and promotes the benefits of your solution. Now notice I'm saying the word benefits. People don't want to know basically how you're going to deliver your solution. They want to know, are you going to fix the problem? Am I going to enable somebody to feel confident and calm when they get up and speak? Am I going to be able to help them create a talk that really resonates with their ideal audience? Am I be able to help them with their presentation skills so they don't sound boring? People want to know what the end result is. Are you going to help them make money if you're a business coach? Are you going to help them have a better relationship with somebody if you're a relationship coach? What are the benefits? Not how you get there. They're not interested in the road. They want to know what's the end game? What's the benefit that you can provide? And then we go on to characteristic number 5. It has a single call to action. Now, we have so many things that we can offer people and so many things that we can share. We just want to just give. But that creates a problem. Ugh, what's the problem? When you start loading on all kinds of options and choices, people get confused. Having more than one choice confuses the mind. Should I do this thing or that thing? Should I do this first? Should I do that first? Should I do that second? Should I do that third? A confused mind always says no. They're so busy trying to figure out which thing they should do first. They don't do anything. That's no good. You want somebody to do something, so basically you want to give them one thing to do that will move them a step forward as part of your community. And here's the final of the 6 characteristics that I'm sharing. Your message is organized in a way that makes sense to the people who are hearing it or reading it. I mean, have you ever listened to a speaker kind of wander all over the place and you're wondering, what the heck does this person, you can't even follow what their line of reasoning is or what's the point? It's confusing. And if you confuse people, that's not that you're not going to convince them of anything. They're going to think this person's so disorganized. I don't want to work with this person. They don't have their act together. So allow me to share a generic outline of a message. This is very generic, and it doesn't cover things like elevator pitches and other things like that. This is a generic talk or presentation that you might give or write, and something that will make sense. You use an attention.
Hey, Marjorie.
Yes.
Could you skip back to number 6 for a moment? Somebody didn't get a chance to write it down.
Aha.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Thank you. My program manager keeps a careful eye on and takes care of everybody who is doing Q&A because I'm so busy talking that I don't have time to do that. So thank you, Margaret. And as you notice, this is organized in a way that makes sense. And so thank you very much, Margaret, for letting me know, because this, how do you like it? I love this graphic. I have used this more than once because it shows a confused mind and a confused message better than any graphic I've ever found. And I love using graphics. I'm sure you've picked that up. So here's a generic outline. First of all, you use an attention grabbing opening. And I alluded to the opening that I used in that keynote address I gave at the annual gala of the International Association of Top Professionals. And I'll share it with you. Basically, I was, if you see the video, I was thanking the person who was introducing me, but this is what I did. I turned to the audience and I said, according to my favorite philosopher, And I knew that that worried everybody. Oh, she's going to talk philosophy. According to my favorite philosopher, pause, Mark Twain, everybody felt relieved. There are two types of speakers: those who are nervous and those who are liars. And I got a nice laugh. And notice, please, how I used pauses to make that more effective. A pause is a wonderful tool to use when you're presenting anything. And it says to the people in your audience, what she just said is important. Listen, you let it sink in when you pause. And you want to give a preview of the three things you will share. Now, it's true in this presentation, I'm giving you 6 things, but I did give you a preview that I was going to share 6 things with you. And then you speak about the first thing and the second thing and the third thing. If you're giving a presentation where people cannot see it, where it's just an oral presentation, 3 is probably the maximum number. And basically what you're doing is you're giving people like an oral outline. I'm going to be sharing these 3 things with you. Now, the first thing is da, 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 da. And the second thing is da, 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 da. And the third thing is da, 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 da. And it makes it, by the way, very easy to remember what you're talking about. And it makes it easy for the audience to understand exactly where you are in your presentation. And then you review the 3 things you just shared. You're going to see me do that with the 6 things that I just shared. And this is, you're thinking, she's talking about all this repetition? Well, the fact of the matter is that all these studies show that orally presented information, people remember maybe about a quarter of it the next day, and the end of a week, forget about it. So when you do this kind of repetition, repetition's the mother of learning. So if you want people to really remember what you're sharing with them, giving them a preview, I'm going to tell you the 3 things about this subject. Here's the first thing, da, da, da. Here's the second thing, da, da, da. Here's the third thing. And as I just mentioned, here are the 3 things that are important to remember, da, da, da. And that makes it much easier for your audience to remember what you have shared. And even if it's a written thing, people kind of sometimes don't read with their full attention, and this helps them remember the importance of what you've just shared. And then you promote your single call to action. You invite them to do a single thing that is important for them to do. And then you offer an inspirational close. Now, one of the things I want to share about when you're doing a presentation, an oral presentation, is that I do not believe in writing out a speech verbatim and trying to memorize it. Maybe because I don't function well and I don't have that kind of memory, but I consider that putting a tremendous stress on you, number 1, to try and memorize it. And number 2, if you forget a word or a sentence, you can get totally lost. And you will be so confused. And that's when people kind of give up and leave the stage. And it's just a very difficult thing. However, if you have some, I like 4x6 cards with big print, with bullet points about your 3 things, and you number them in case, God forbid, you should drop the cards so you can get them back in order. In fact, one of the people that I shared this with, I ran into her sometime after we'd worked together. She's local. She's Marjorie, I'm so glad you told me to number my cards. I had to give a talk and I dropped my cards. And it was easy because they were numbered. There are 2 things, though, that I recommend that you think about ahead of time, write out, and memorize. That's your attention grabbing opening and your inspirational close. Those are the 2 things that people are most likely to remember. And those are the two things that you want to have be the most effective, because you want to immediately grab people's attention, and you want to end on such a high note that everybody ends up giving you a wonderful applause. Standing ovations are also nice, by the way. And but at least having that, and those are the things you think of in advance, not only because it makes your talk more effective, but think about how much more confident you'll feel when you know that you know exactly what to say to get started. And no matter what happens in the middle, you know exactly what to say to finish. I mean, it really helps build your confidence in sharing your message when you know how you're going to start and how you're going to end. So let's review. Yes, let us review the characteristics of copy that converts. And the first one, of course, is it immediately grabs the attention of your ideal audience. It uses their specific language that resonates with them, and gives them the feeling that you really understand where they're coming from. It speaks to their pain. People will not make changes until the pain they're in is worse than their fear of making a change. We are human beings are very resistant to change. And that's why if you want to create copy that converts, speaking in people's specific language and speaking to their pain really gives them the inspiration that you are the right person to help them, especially when the benefits of your solution are something that they desperately want. Now, how do you really clarify these three items, the specific language, the pain, and the benefits that your ideal audience really wants? You don't pull it out of the spheres. You don't use your imagination. Sorry. As good as you are, what you really need to do is market research. You call up about at least five, and maybe 10 people, and you ask them about their issues and what are the things that concern them the most. You invite people, you ask them if they could tell them you're doing a survey and you'd really appreciate their help because you'd like to improve the service that you're offering to people. And you can say that you would like to know if they have some issues in this particular area. And then you can ask them about the issues. And then why is it important to you? And then why is that? And why is that? Go deep. The first answers you will get will be very superficial. Why do you think that is really important? If people say that the reason they want to do that is because they want to make more money, well, yeah, but money's a tool. What do they want it for? What do they need it for? Are they concerned about their retirement? Are they concerned about sending kids to college? Are they concerned about putting food on the table? What is their pain? And what is their ideal solution? What would they really like, having solved this problem? What would that solution look like to them? What would they really want? And when you do this, and I recommend asking permission and then recording this, because there's no way you can write fast enough or type fast enough to get some of the language, then you will have the kind of copy and the kind of language that will relate to the people whom you want to serve. And then figure out what is the one thing that will lure them into work, being part of your community. On my website, I offer a complimentary ebook, Communication Confidence. And I offer it in a lot of promotions and giveaways because that's interesting when I do market research. What people tell me is they want to feel confident about communicating. They want to feel that they know what to say, and they want to feel that they can present it effectively, and they want to know that they can overcome their fears, and that if they're nervous before they speak, which we all are, basically, even I get nervous. Everybody, it's part of the human condition, how to handle those nerves. Those are the things people want to know, and that's my usual single call to action. And whatever you do, it's well organized and makes sense, so that by the time you conclude your remarks, people know what you're talking about. They know that you get them. They've been paying attention because everything makes sense. You've gotten their attention right away, and you are offering them something that will help them with a solution, a beginning of a solution to the things that they have said are a real challenge for them. So I am right now, you will notice I'm violating the single call to action. Oh dear, oh dear. But this is not something I would ever do in a strictly spoken event, but seeing this is a webinar and you can see, I just would like to invite you to our next Coffee and Coaching Club meeting. And it's about the second key to compelling presentations. The first key I presented last time, and that will eventually, by the way, end up on my YouTube channel, so you'll be able to go back to that. And that's at coffeeandcoaching.club. And so when you go there, you can sign up for that and for the one after that. And you will also see down at the bottom that you can sign up. There's a link there to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'd really appreciate if you do that, by the way. When I hit 100 subscribers, I'll be able to put my name on it instead of having a URL that's XY32Z, whatever, whatever it is. By the way, and if you've got a YouTube channel, see if you can get it up to at least 100 subscribers if you haven't already, or if you have, you can put your name on the URL instead of the gobbledygook that's usually there. But here is my second invitation. I would love for you to take advantage of my communication confidence assessment. And that will give you a very clear view of the areas where you feel that you have a lot of confidence and the areas where it might be good to focus on upping your game. And you can find that at my website, vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA for communication confidence assessment. And I'm going to throw in a bribe. Once a month, I'm going to pick one of the people who does this and send you a complimentary copy of my international best-selling, #1 international bestseller on Amazon, Empowering Business Owners to Overcome Speaking Fears, whether you're speaking with one person or 1,000. So that's my bribe. You can go to vibrantvocalpower.com/CCA and fill that out. So, Miss Margaret, tell me.
This is Marjorie.
What do people want to know?
Well, we did get a question, how do I learn the language that my audience can hear? And Monica, I think that Marjorie's addressed that now. If she hasn't, drop me a note in the question and answer box. And I'm going to move right on to the next one, which is, would you say that all of this also applies to blog posts? And that's from Joseph.
Absolutely. Blog posts, absolutely. You want to get people's attention. And of course, with blog posts, the most important attention getter is your subject. That's true in blog posts and in emails. That if you want people to read an email or open or read a blog post, your subject has to be a grabber. And then, of course, it's also good if your first sentence or paragraph is a grabber. And by the way, if you want to keep people reading, let me give you a little hint. And this is based on all kinds of studies that have gone back literally decades. I mean, we don't generally anymore get sales letters in the mail, but they all follow this pattern. When you're writing a blog post or any kind of article or your about page or anything on your website or your LinkedIn profile, make sure each paragraph is no longer than like 3 lines. People read by scanning first lines. The worst thing you can do, you can have the most wonderful information, but if it follows what I call the big blob of text in a small font graphic school design that the human eye cannot read, people will not read it. When you are writing your blog post, be sure that it is what I call visually accessible. In other words, easy to read. By the way, I thought I had invented that term, but then somebody who works with accessibility issues told me it's been around for a while. So, but that's really important when you have your message that's written, that it be short paragraphs, and and that applies not, as I say, not simply to blog posts. It's in your emails. It's in your posts on social media.
Mm-hmm.
If you send an email that's just this big blob of text, people do what a friend of mine calls the dance of the delete key. And if it's a big blob of text in your blog post, people aren't going to read it. They aren't going to read it no matter how wonderful your information is, unless it's in short paragraphs and, let me add, with a blank line between each paragraph,
Mm-hmm.
so that people can, just quickly scan down the page. The shorter your paragraphs, the more of your material people will read.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end. That's a lot more information than you asked for, but I think it's really important that when you spend all that time and effort creating something, that you design it, the layout be in a way that's easy for people to read.
Yeah,
You,
the eye needs a place to rest, and bullet
absolutely.
points are also effective um, as a way to break up big blobs of text. Also,
What word did you just use?
bullet points.
Oh, bullet points. Oh, yes. Bullet points, numbered lists. If you'll notice, that all of the things that I did, I created. I mean, take a look at how this is laid out. Is this easy to read?
Mm-hmm.
And when notice how I did that. I just showed you one thing at a time so that it was easy for you to read it and see it.
And we have just a follow-up question on that really quickly. Any recommendations about the size of the font? And I assume we're talking about blog posts here from Janet.
I'm a big fan of a little bit larger font, not so large that it makes the page go down forever. And the other thing to remember is that over 50% of the people who are going to be reading your blog post are going to be doing it on a device, not on a PC or a Mac. And so if the font is too big, it will really make it hard for them to read on that device.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to suggest a number because I think basically eyeballing it yourself and see how it looks on your cell phone, see how it looks on the PC or Mac, and make sure that it's easy to read.
Mm-hmm. I think we've got time for one more quick question, which is, should the call to action be specific to what I'm saying or writing? From Anita.
Absolutely, because you want the people to want to take the call to action. It should be in line with what you are doing. And so my call to action, offering you and inviting you to take this communication confidence assessment, is in line with my whole thing of helping people become more effective communicators.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do is to help you become a more effective communicator, to be more confident, and to feel comfortable with your messaging. And so my offer of a communication confidence assessment is to help you get clear on where you really need to focus some efforts. So absolutely, if you're selling widgets and then you offer a free gizmo, something to do with how to use a gizmo when you've been talking about widgets, who's going to be interested? Nobody.
Right. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I invite you once again to please be sure and uh, fill out that communication confidence assessment so that uh, we can perhaps send you a book. If you're chosen, I will be sending you an email asking for your address. Did I see that somebody else asked a last minute question, Margaret?
Somebody said thank you.
Oh, you are most welcome. It's my pleasure. And I appreciate your joining me and look forward to seeing you at another one of these coffee and coaching clubs. Take care and have a good day. Stay safe, be well.